I think, how many of you know Kalari Capital? It's one of the topmost investment firm in India. Okay, so, we have Mr. MUTHIAH Venkateswaran from Kalari Capital. Sir, please. So, he's a partner at K-Start, and he leads the K-Start initiative at Kalari Capital. He has been right from engineering to management consulting. He has explored everything. And right now, he's focused on helping the startup ecosystem and developing entrepreneurship across the country. So, over to sir. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, before I get started, can I request all of you to stand up for 1 minute, quickly. The talk that we just heard, I was sitting there and thinking to myself, saying, how spoiled are we? Can we give a round of applause to those entrepreneurs? Please. Please be seated. Thank you. First of all, thanks a lot to August Fest, right? Phenomenal event. I love being here. I'm enjoying myself, listening to all these conversations, and look forward to talking to quite a few of you entrepreneurs here as well. I'll keep my talk very short. Just a quick introduction about myself and K-Start as an initiative. I'm a partner at K-Start. I lead the initiative for Kalari, and we are I don't know if our slides are up. So we are a one-of-a-kind seed fund, right? We launched early this year, and we are trying to do things differently. What I want to focus on today is some of the learnings that we have had as we have gone through, reviewing hundreds of ideas from entrepreneurs. I know that right after the session, there are about 100 people who are going to pitch their ideas. Hopefully for each one of you who's working on your solution, your ideas, some of the things I'm going to talk today is very helpful, right? So I'll try to make it as practical and as useful as possible. This is not a theoretical session. This is actually based on what we observe, what are the things that work, so that you can practically apply it in your daily life. Yeah? I'll wait for the presentation to come up and then I'll get started. So while it's coming up, so let me start off with our introduction. So, we at K-Start, our objective is essentially very simple, right? We want to find the best of entrepreneurs out there who have the most disruptive of ideas and fund them. That's our single most objective. The way we are doing this thing is, for us to create a very different kind of a seed fund, what we have tried to do is we said, money is available in the market. Some of you entrepreneurs will look at me and say, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that money is available? I'm here trying to work on my idea and I can't find funding for nuts, right? How can you say that money is available? Trust me, if you have a good idea, if you're putting in the effort and you're building a business, trust me, you'll get money, right? VCs will come after you. Angel investors will come after you if you're building a good business, right? So money won't be a problem if you're doing it the right way. The question becomes, what happens once you get the money, right? So what we have done is, first and foremost, I'll just highlight a few things that we have done differently. One is we have a pool of senior leaders, some of whose names are listed here, and there are many others who are part of the Catalyst pool at K-Start. And what we have tried to do is provide access to entrepreneurs, to leaders that they normally won't get access to, right? This way, very early in their life cycle, they are thinking about how am I building a great business rather than just worry about here and now, right? So both are important, right? But getting access to such great advice sometimes is lacking in the environment that we are in. So that's one of the reasons why we said we need that pool of catalysts who are available. The second thing that we did is we focused on, we need to bring something to the entrepreneurs that helps them learn. So we conduct sessions for them. We have something called the K-Start Institute, where we spend few days every few months, where all our entrepreneurs and some of the co-founders come together and pretty much in a classroom session, go through a bunch of training programs, right? We also said this is a great opportunity for us to contribute to the ecosystem. So we run a bunch of events, thought leadership events. Early last month, we had an event around fintech. Before that, we had an event around digital marketing. And these are events we actually open it to anybody to sign up. And the idea behind that is, many of these are new ideas, right? We are going through a very interesting phase where there is so much opportunity for each one of us to learn and contribute. So we said, let's open it up so that we can, in that way, contribute to the ecosystem. So there is quite a few events that we conduct. Any of you who are interested, who are ever in Bangalore, please come join us. Okay, the last but not the least, one of the key differentiators for us is when we conceived the program and we launched K-Start, one of the key things that we focused on is this whole idea of fair capital, right? Because there is money available in the market, but at a very early stage, there are a lot of founders who are sitting there, thinking about valuations, thinking about how much of my company do I need to give away and all of that. At K-Start, our term sheet is in our website, right? And we fund all our companies using a convertible note, right? We don't take equity upfront. We instead say we invest anywhere between $100,000 to $500,000 on tech-focused ideas. We give the money upfront as a convertible note. Whenever the company goes for the next Series A or whatever is the next round of funding, is when the conversion actually happens. And the terms are actually put on our website because our point is we want to be very transparent in how we are working with our entrepreneurs, right? You should have the confidence and the courage to say that, this is how we work. And these are some of the portfolio companies that we have funded, and there are a few more that's in the pipeline that will come through as well. I'll stop our introduction right there, and next I'll get into a session around, we have looked at hundreds of ideas over the last few months. And some of the ideas that stand out, right? When I look at those entrepreneurs, what they brought to the table, what got them noticed, right? I want to bring some of those to you so that it's helpful to you. First is disruption. I think in a couple of conversations back, someone spoke about what is the real disruption that you're focused on. At the end of the day, you are creating a business. You start with an idea, but don't forget the fact that you're here to create a business. You're here to run a business, right? Many folks, I feel like, are focused too much on just the idea, okay? Move away from the idea to say, this is my idea. Now, how will I disrupt the market with this idea, right? And, think about what is the key solution that you're bringing to the table. That is a key differentiator. One of the key elements that's associated with disruption is essentially what is unique about your idea, right? What is a unique value proposition that you are bringing that nobody else is thinking about? This is the start of how your differentiation in the long run is going to play out. At the end of the day, any idea and every idea, if it's half successful, is going to be copied. Okay? There is no idea out there that if it is good, that somebody is not going to copy it. Okay? So if you have an idea that you think is good, trust me, somebody is going to copy it. Right? And somebody is going to come after you. So if you can't create something that's unique, that you can defend in the long run, it's going to be tough for you. Right? Each of the founders that I've spoken to who we thought were good had not just an idea, but essentially a solution that was unique. This doesn't mean that I'm not saying that you should not focus in areas where there is already some businesses available. If that's the case, we won't have a Google, right? As all of us know, Google was not the first search engine that was launched, right? It was maybe the 7th or the 8th search engine that launched. If one followed this idea of, I should pick spaces where nobody is there, it's not going to work either. But the question is, what Google did that was disruptive, that was unique, was the fact that the way they solved the search problem was very unique, was very differentiated than anybody else in the market, and as a result, they fundamentally changed the entire business, right? So, to be disruptive, one of the key things to focus on is what is my uniqueness, right? If you can nail that upfront, it's going to be important. Related to that, right, related to the disruption is this whole point about the opportunity. Opportunity is not, sometimes I meet entrepreneurs who are very excited about their idea, who are willing to pound the table saying, trust me, I'm going to run a big business. Sure, great. The question is, are you defining your problem clearly? Is there a real problem that you're solving with your idea, right? If you can, upfront in your own mind, define a problem set that's large enough, interesting enough, that's a real problem that requires solving, right? This becomes very clear, right? Take, for example, Uber or Ola, right? Taxi business has existed forever, right? One could argue that, hey, what is there in real taxi aggregation, right? And I remember a few years back, one of my friends in a casual conversation mentioned to me saying, there are all kinds of ideas coming up. There is this business that got launched in San Francisco that is an app that shows where taxis are around you. That's it. That was his description of the whole business, right? The challenge with that is people are not seeing the problem that exists in the market, right? If you as an entrepreneur can spend the time to say, what is the real problem that you're solving, rather than get consumed by the beauty of your idea and the excitement of your idea, it makes a huge difference, right? Because then you're solving a real consumer problem. All of which I've said, which is pick a big disruption, pick a big problem, right? Come up with a unique idea, essentially means that you can't do it alone, right? It comes down to the founding team. And sometimes you can do it alone if you're picking an area of where you have the expertise, in which case you just need to pull in a few people. But typically what we have seen is, does the founding team have the right ingredients, right, to crack the problem that's at hand? I'll give you an example. I meet a lot of entrepreneurs who come to us and do themselves a disservice by saying, I went to such and such college, or I worked in such and such company. If that's all you are using as a proxy to describe yourself, you're not giving a view of who you are as an entrepreneur. Instead, focus on talking about what have you accomplished, right? What are the tough things that you've solved, right? Even with your current business. You might be fresh out of college and you're working on a business. Talk excitedly about, here is a tech problem I solved in my current business. While I didn't know anything, over the last few months, I spent enough time learning, and here is a platform I've launched. Here's the type of customer feedback I have, right? It says a lot of, take the opportunity to talk about why your founding team's background is very helpful to crack the problem. I feel like sometimes people take the shortcut of using, I went to a great college or worked in a particular company as a proxy, and as a result miss the opportunity to even talk about what they have really done. Related to this problem is the fact that at the end of the day, for somebody, especially in early stages, to be convinced about your business is the fact that, do you know something about this field, right? If you are somebody who has worked in this industry for a while, it's easy. You can come there and say, I've done this for 15 years, here are all the insights I have, and as a result, I'm starting this business. But if you're a new entrepreneur, you're picking a space where you didn't work before, spend the time, right? Gathering insights is not that difficult. It takes effort, okay? Spend the time. Rather than just come in and say, here is my idea, spend the time to gather the insight. Go do your work. Simple surveys. In the digital world that we live in, collecting inputs is so easy, right? Come up with an MVP, launch it, get customer feedback, see what people are reacting to. Structure your product around what customers are really looking for, right? Walk into the meeting, blow away people with the insights that you have gathered. One of the founding teams that we have are a bunch of young folks, a few years out of college, and they picked a business in which, one would argue that they don't have a background. They blew me away the first time I met them just by their insights, right? We walked into the meeting, they said, we've been doing this for the last 10 months. Here are the things that we have learned. Here is what our customer is looking for, right? If I do this, the customer likes. If I don't do this, the customer doesn't like, right? That type of insight, if you can walk into a room and say it, you know what happens? Your idea becomes a business. You all of a sudden, in front of the people who are listening to you, right? You have taken yourself from a place of, here is an exciting idea, to people looking at you as, here is an exciting business, right? So work on figuring out what those insights are. Do that groundwork. Last but not the least, have a plan, right? Most of the ideas that folks are thinking about have been thought through, right? This is not to say that have a plan for what you're going to do 5 years from now. You are a startup, okay? The idea that you start off with may not be the same idea that you'll be working on 3 years from now. It's very clear, right? One of the beauty of this journey is the learning that's going to be there. It's the evolution that you're going to go through as a startup. But what's critical is, for each of your ideas, there'll be 1 or 2 things that will make or break your business. For example, if you're coming up with a product that's in FMCG, right? Think about how you would handle distribution, right? Think about how you'd make the customer to actually buy your product. What are the 3-4 things that you're going to do? Because that's a question that anybody is going to ask you, right? That can't be a simple answer of, oh, I'll do digital marketing, right? What is the specific thing that you're going to do? Show the folks that you've thought through your business, that it's not just an idea, right? Do the groundwork to say, here are the areas, here is what I've thought through, and you may not have solved all of them. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There is more time to solve these things, right? But at least you can show people that this is how I'm thinking about my business, this is how I'm going to solve it, and this is where I need help, right? At the end of the day, you are in early stages of a business. right? Nobody expects you to have tons of revenue, etc., but you have had some excitement in the market, right? So having a plan really helps, especially to address the critical challenges, helps. Last but not the least, this is my favorite point, credibility. Use the opportunity you're getting when you're pitching to establish credibility. You can do two things with credibility in a discussion. You can either build credibility or lose credibility. Okay, it's as simple as that. You know, there are a lot of folks who walk into meetings because they're so in this excitement of wanting to sell, right? And don't get me wrong, as an entrepreneur, you have to sell your business. You have to sell your business to every employee you're hiring. You have to sell that business to every investor that you're meeting, right? But there is a subtle line. How many of you love the used car salesman? Do you think he has credibility? He doesn't. Because they'll sell any junk to you, right? Is the normal impression that people have, right? So there is selling for sure, but sell with authenticity, right? Sell with facts. When you are in meetings, if you are putting up slides that say, here is what we have done, let it speak the truth, right? Don't say stuff that is not true, right? Don't put up market estimations that are pulled out of thin air. Every healthcare tech presentation I see, people throw 200, it's a $100 million business, $1 billion business, only time will tell, right? It's very important for you in each of your investor meetings to gain credibility rather than lose credibility. Whether you get funding or not, if you can walk away from that meeting establishing credibility, where that VC or whichever is the investor who's talking to you looks at you and says, that's a good entrepreneur. I would like to talk to this person again, right? Then you establish your credibility. That's all I had. Hopefully it is useful to you. I'll take a couple of questions if any of you have some. And I'm also around if you want to talk to me. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, questions. We have some time for questions.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
I am a social entrepreneur. So I was listening to your talk. Do you help only tech companies or do you help other kind of companies?
We are a tech-focused investment firm.
As you mentioned, what are the tech advantages we can get from your acceleration side? Case start.
Sorry? What are the?
Accelerator advantages.
So we are not an accelerator, right? So we are a seed fund.
Seed fund.
Right? So, you know, as I mentioned, we have the catalyst. We conduct specific programs that are focused on helping entrepreneurs grow, right? We do a lot of mentorship to entrepreneurs, right? We also have quite a few industry partnerships with firms like Google, IBM, Facebook, right? We leverage them so they have access to a lot of their expertise, right? Google, for example, conducted a digital marketing workshop for our entrepreneurs. IBM conducted a workshop focused on cloud. So on the tech side, that's how partnerships come in. And then some of our catalysts spend one-on-one time with companies, coaching them on specific topics, for example, growth, brand building, etc. In addition to the fact that our companies, quarterly or so, present to them to get feedback on how they are doing, etc. So it's a variety of stuff.
We are a startup company called Book My Stall, and we are in 10 cities now. Till now, we didn't raise. Our revenue is zero, and we spent zero. With that model, we are in 10 cities now. So, am I eligible? Is our company eligible for?
We should talk separately.
Yes, sir. Myself, Dr. Sharath.
Hi.
And I have my startup named Notachi, which is dealing with RF microwave atmospheric based products from 1 to 20 gigahertz. So we have already some prototypes developed. We are applying for some funds from the ministries, whoever is related to that. And these antenna modules, whatever being developed.
Hi, I'm Anand, and my question was, my mother turned entrepreneur at 58, building a community for women above 50. And even though it's not a tech company, but what I heard from you, even in 5 minutes, was a lot of valuable knowledge. So, even people like her could be mentored at K-Start?
So it depends on whether the idea is something that we fund. The
Okay.
people who get mentored are the people who are getting funded. right?
Okay, so you fund, you mentor only those whom you are investing in.
Investing in. What we, however, do, so for example, specifically in this case, right?
Yes.
We did an event called Startup Girls,
Okay.
right, which is just focused on women entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And we got women entrepreneurs from all over India, women leaders from all over India,
Right.
including a lot of men who are passionate about the
Yes.
topic, right? And we actually, that was a great way for us to bring some thought leadership to the table of what are the challenges people are facing, and more importantly for women entrepreneurs to learn from each other. So we do stuff like that topically to be of help to people.
So we can follow your website to know when
Sure.
is the next startup girls and
And I'm happy to talk to you separately as well.
thanks.
Hello. Yeah, here.
Hi.
Yeah. So I'm Dheeraj. I just want to ask you, when some entrepreneur comes to you and pitches some idea,
Yep.
so I'm just talking about that 3 minutes what he pitches. So what's the percentage for idea? What's the percentage for the person? What's the percentage for the context and credibility, how it's developed?
So first and foremost, stop looking at yourself like that. Okay, that's not the way we approach entrepreneurs, at least. Yeah. So the way we are approaching entrepreneurs is we get the application form. The ones that we like, we actually spend time talking to them. Sometimes it's one conversation, sometimes it's multiple conversation. If they are not in Bangalore, we do VCs. Even people are in Bangalore because the traffic is horrendous, right? We end up doing, simple Google Hangouts and stuff like that to actually understand the business. So it's not that entrepreneurs get 3 minutes, right? So our website has a bunch of questions, a video pitch. We look at all of that to actually make a call on who all to talk to, and then we talk to them. Then after that, there are a few who get selected to present to the investment committee. Even there, they get about 20 minutes to present. If I were an entrepreneur, and what I would suggest you focus on are the points that I mentioned, right? Is your idea disruptive, right? Are you solving a big enough problem, right? Do I have the right team in place to crack the problem, right? Some of the teams you will not have, right? For example, if operations is not a big deal and you can hire people later, it's okay, right? So some of those things will evolve. No one expects everybody to be in place, but the critical elements, are they in place? So that's what we look for.
Okay, one last question.
Hello sir, thank you sir, thank you very much. Sir, a guy like to come to you and tell his idea. You like the idea, but the way he pitches and his confidence is very low. You are sure about it. What are the other things you are looking at him? The idea is very disruptive. It's
Yep.
like offline Google. What are the other things you look at him?
So it's a good question. One of the reasons, so any entrepreneur that I meet in person, we actually give them feedback, right? We are very honest with them. If you have met them, we give them feedback, right? Saying this is what I like. Hey, you may want to work on this. You may want to improve on this, etc. Right? The challenge, however, is the following, right? Some of us have a communication problem. That's okay, right? Someone is not comfortable in English. It's okay. Pitch to us. I'm happy to listen to you in Hindi, right? But if you're not confident about your own idea, that's a different problem, right? Then it's a little bit more nuanced, and one needs to understand why you're not confident about your own idea. Because entrepreneurship is a tough journey. One of the reasons why we are emphasizing the team is it's going to be a tough journey. This is not going to be a walk in the park, right? Do you have the resilience? Do you have the ability to constantly learn, reinvent yourself, and stick with it, right? And part of that comes from the confidence the entrepreneur shows. So that one part is actually a tough one.
Okay, I have extended this question. See, my idea is like some Facebook or Uber, very new idea. There is nowhere. I'm sure about it. So I'm
happy to talk to you separately so that we don't have to take everybody's time.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you.